Welcome, everybody, back to another jam session on the Jam Pod. We are here, episode 10, Super Fantastic, to talk about Superman and Fantastic Four, two of the summer's biggest movies. Want to introduce my special guest today, who just so happened to actually both have two letters as their first name. That was not planned. That is just a coincidence, as well as my third guest, who just so happened to pull up. There we go. Everybody's here. The four gang is here. Want to go around, start with my guy, AF. AF, how you doing today, bro?
I'm doing great, like really fantastic. They said. How are you doing?
Can't complain, bro. I'm excited to talk about both of these movies with you guys. Really excited. TJ, how are you today, bro?
Doing very well. Excited to chat about this with you. I'm going to be spending most of the day at a wedding with a bunch of people I don't know. And so I'm happy to start the day out chatting with some friends before diving into the unknown and having to, socialize with a. Do you ever kind of feel like since the pandemic started, you don't know how to socialize outside of the internet anymore? Like,
Oh
I
yes.
feel like I used to have way better social skills than I do now. Like, I know they were there at one point. I know they existed, but I feel like I got to have a couple drinks to revive them now. So, uh, getting myself mentally prepared to have to go into the world and socialize with new people.
Man, you got this. I have nothing but faith in you, dude. You're so charismatic. You're a good dude. You'll be fine. Um, but I do understand with the. I used to be a people's person, and I'm not anymore at all. Like I'm more less of a not people's person. CJ, how you doing today, bro?
Know the deal. I'm just waking up about 30 minutes ago. But I had to come on this panel. I had to join you guys. I had to discuss some spoilers. Really excited to kind of break down the movie and get you guys' thoughts about the whole, DCU, MCU, and kind of moving forward.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, it's a pleasure to have all of you guys. I want you guys to be able to plug yourselves before we head out of here. But we got some time constraints today, so we're gonna skip today's segment on like how's life and what you're nerding out to, and we're gonna just dive right into it. So, two of the biggest movies this summer. We're gonna start with Superman. It came out a little bit earlier this month. I want to go with first impressions, and then now that you've had some time to talk, think about it. Let me know what your thoughts. I'll throw it right back at you, CJ. It's gonna be probably confusing hearing CJ and TJ, so I might just have to call you Mr. TV over there, Mr. Edwards. So, Mr. TV, first impression and how you feel about Superman now.
Uh, First impression, because I know it's been about a week now. I would give it like a smooth 8.5 out of 10. I kind of rose it a little bit. At first, I thought it was an 8. After letting it like kind of marinate for a little bit, it went up to 8.5. One thing that I could really appreciate about the film was the text, before the film started. Essentially, it was like a random comic. I thought it was pretty cool how, for an example, it said like 3 minutes, he lost the fight, and it was like he lost his first fight. And it's like, oh, Superman lost his first fight? Like, who took him out? When did this happen? That really hooked me in. I could also kind of really appreciate how we kind of skipped over the origin just a little bit. We just got right into it because this is our was like fourth or fifth iteration of Superman, so I feel like people are like very accustomed to like the backstory. But I guess one potential issue that I could see that could probably bother some people were the pacing of the film. I could see how that could be an issue. I personally like the pace. We got right into it. It was like we strictly just jumped into a comic book and we're like, okay, we're here and let's go. So
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit on the money for me. Besides the pacing issue, I love the pacing. I'm not gonna lie to you, I love the pacing of this film. But just throwing us into the comic book world, like you said, it's like, and then that text really brought me in. It captivated me immediately. I tapped over to Denise, and I'm like, that's it. James Gunn, he doesn't miss. The gun don't jam. No pun intended. TJ, how about you? first impression, and now that you've had some time with it, what do we got?
Well, firstly, and I, apologize for jumping ahead a little bit, but I do find it really interesting that these two movies that we're going to be talking about today, with releasing 2 weeks apart from each other, kind of have the exact same pace of, we're going to throw you in, we're going to give you a quick catch up, and then we're going. And not just the pace, they also have the same format of, hey, these characters have already existed in universe for 3 or 4 years. Everybody loves them, and they've never lost. They are the ultimate protectors. We're going to show you them getting their butts kicked for the first time. And I think it's really interesting that both of them kind of had that same format, and I enjoyed it for both of them. And on the Superman side of things, I've kind of been I hate that I've only gotten to see it once in theater so far. It's one of those things where it was like, I'm busy, and usually if I'm busy, I can get back to the theater like 2 weeks after opening night. Well, then 2 weeks after was Fantastic Four, so it wasn't really doable, but I'm going to make sure I get to see each of these movies in theaters at least one more time. And I've kind of been describing Superman as a Superman version of what Matt Reeves' The Batman was. And it is not a perfect superhero movie. It's not a perfect movie, but it's pretty close to a perfect movie for the character. Like The Batman, I have some qualms with it, but for a Batman movie, it might be the best pure Batman movie we've ever gotten. And in terms of the Superman movie, it felt so hopeful and empathetic, and it made you just want to, smile and chat with everybody else in your theater afterwards. It felt like Superman. And so while I had a couple like small qualms, I thought this was an awesome movie. I loved it so much, and it felt very close to a perfect Superman movie.
Oh man, beautifully said. Beautifully said. I couldn't have said it any better myself. I think this movie truly embodies the character. And like you said, there's some things that I have some issues with, but I mean, I gave it a 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10 for me. But that's just riding the high, right? Like if I really sat here and think about it, I'm more leaning towards like a 8.5, 9. But because what it embodies for me and the comic book aspects and things, I'm gonna keep it that high. Like you said, it's not perfect, but it's the perfect, I feel like, or close to it iteration. AF, how do you feel? First impressions, and then now that we've had a little bit of time, well, or depending on when you've seen it, I didn't even think about that when you guys might have seen that, but if you've had some time with it and first impressions of Superman.
Yeah, so dude, I loved it. Like, I'm a DC guy. I was in like DC heaven during watching that movie every single time. And just to keep it on point with the movie, James Gunn had the thing with 3 million years and 3 decades and 3 years and all of those things. So I watched it 3 times just to, keep that synergy going. But
Fire.
it got better every single time. And yeah, like everybody just pulled their weight in that movie, and that chemistry between Lois and Clark, undeniable, amazing. And I feel like Rachel and David they just match each other's energy throughout the movie.
Oh, I mean, you have a perfect segue as we get right into these characters. I mean, you got Superman and Clark, Lois, the whole Daily Planet cast, the Justice Gang, on all the other heroes, Lex Luthor and Luthor Corp, all of these bad guys. So I want to talk about how James Gunn adapted these characters, essentially all of these characters. And I think AF, you hit it right on the money. They feel like, for me at least, like reading comics, like they were pulled right out of comics and put onto the screen. And I don't know, I felt like that really was something. There's this thing on the internet going around, James Gunn is the comic book director, right? Like he just figures it out. And I was trying to explain that to some friends. Like, I think there's a difference between a superhero film and a comic book film. And we can go into, like, there's so many variables and contexts and stuff, like things that we could get into about that. But as a reader, at least, that's how it feels. The genre, yes, is a superhero film, right? It's a superhero movie, but there's certain things to me that make a comic book movie. And I think James Gunn knows that, especially with the character work. I'll throw it right back to you, AF. I mean, you talked about Superman or Clark and David and Rachel as Lois, do you have specifically a favorite? I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but I do want to talk about characters a little bit and summarize. So, do you have a favorite character in this movie?
I think that my favorite character in the movie is Superman. I think the fact that we finally see somebody portray this guy properly in live action. Yes, I like Henry Cavill, but was he Superman? I don't know. Like Man of Steel, like TJ said this so many times, and we've had this discussion before. Man of Steel is a good movie, but is it a good Superman movie?
Mm.
No, it's not. And so that's why I just love David's portrayal of Superman. I love his portrayal of Clark Kent. I love the way that he balances both personas, and you can easily differentiate the two. Whereas previously it's just like, okay, he's combed both as Clark Kent and Superman. Now there's actually different traits for both of them, and I just love those little small attention to detail from James Gunn. So yeah, Clark Kent Superman, he was my favorite character in this movie.
Man, I mean, the movie is Superman, right? So you're always gonna want the protagonist to be great. But I mean, you hit it on the money on how well David portrayed Superman. I don't kill me at home, ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary friends of them, but I have never seen Christopher Reeves movies. And all I can say is people online were talking about how closely depicted David felt to that. And for me, it was little things like mannerisms in Clark Kent and in Superman that you can tell the difference. And I want to shout out my guy Zen from the Listen 3000 podcast. We're going to kind of talk about a little spoiler here before we get right to TJ and his favorite character. But I didn't notice this, but Zen mentioned how you could tell the difference in mannerisms between Superman and Ultraman, even though he portrayed both. And I did not see that. So I have to go when I go back and watch my second viewing, I need to pay attention to that because that shows the level of acting that I feel like David Cornsweet not only can portray, but did his research and homework on. So TJ,
I apologize for putting this into your head because there's a chance you may not be able to see anything else. But go into this second viewing and see Ultraman and tell me you don't feel like you're looking at Hayden Christensen in Revenge of the Sith.
See, I'm gonna have to go back on my second view and look at it in that point of view because that's really interesting.
That's a very interesting.
Exact same haircut, and it literally looks like I'm looking at Anakin Skywalker.
That's actually why I'm wearing this hoodie today. Just by the way.
TJ, straight to you, bro. Who is your favorite character?
So, kind of piggybacking off of what both of you just said about Cornsweet's performance as Superman and Clark Kent, like what really sold it for me is how much he feels like Clark. Like, just really, really feels like his Superman is great. His Clark is perfect. And that's what I really, really enjoy about him. And I did kind of feel like I could have used a little bit more Clark at the planet in this movie. One, just to see that little bit of we got to see the real Clark throughout this movie a lot, which is great, but a little bit more of that dorky persona at the planet would have been fun. And just to see the rest of that planet group as a whole to working together, I think would have been fun. I'll say my favorite overall was probably Lois Lane and Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. I really do feel like these versions of Lois and Clark kind of feel like live action versions of the My Adventures with Superman, Lois and Clark. Like they remind me of that pairing together so much. And I love that because I adore My Adventures with Superman. I think it's an incredible show. And so those, like the two of them together, and probably Lois is my favorite overall, but I did love them both. I will give like a shout out to, he's not my favorite, but the performance was literally perfect, and that is Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner. And I'm just like, when I picture what Guy Gardner is like to deal with, I just have this one scene from Young Justice stuck in my head, and AF knows exactly what I'm talking about. And that's in Young Justice when they're trying to build out the Justice League, right? They're trying to recruit more members to the Justice League. And I think it's Superman. He's like leading like a PowerPoint presentation. He's like, "What about we could use another Green Lantern? What about Guy Gardner?" And both Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart at the same time. No,
No.
why not? We could definitely use another. No, and they just like immediately shut it down. And I just thought like his performance as like the douchebag Green Lantern was spot on. It was perfect.
100. Oh, I mean, you hit it 100%. For me, on two things. Rachel, it was also my favorite portray as a character as Lois Lane. And I'll kind of skip here and then go right with CJ. I'm going to give you also my favorite moment to kind of summarize time. But the reason was this one scene where I was like, oh, that's her. And it showed, I feel like her acting abilities, it was just on another level for me, just through facial expressions. The Mr. Terrific fight scene, the Mr. Terrific action scene, where the camera is panning, but through her point of view. Well, not really her point of view, but on her, and he's behind and everything. I thought in that moment, just how perfect she was, how perfect the camera work and the visuals were, the choreography with the action. So in that was also my favorite moment, but that moment solidified Rachel's performance and my favorite character. So that's the first thing I 100% agree with you on, man. And the Guy Gardner stuff, I mean, you said it beautifully. I couldn't even have said it better myself. It was Guy, and I wanted to punch him in the face. He was pissing me off so bad. Like, it was bad. CJ, Mr. TV, favorite character, and then you could also dive right into your favorite moment, too, right after.
Man, this movie did a great job with just the development of like all characters, like starting off. Kind of like to piggyback what TJ was talking about earlier with Superman. This like iteration of Superman is like just still so new in this world where like heroes are like not hidden and they're pretty well established, and he's just so brand new. He's vulnerable, he's relatable, he's trusting, he's a little wet behind the ears, but it's okay because he's still growing. Because he's about what 3 years in, if I'm not mistaken, at this point. He
And he's
values.
never been challenged, right? Like he is still wet behind the ears because even though he's had lots of foes, nobody's ever been able to stand up to him. So he hasn't had to learn anything. He hasn't had to take responsibility and like make these tough decisions because, well, I can just boop,
Yeah,
you're stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but the crazy thing is you can really see like the human elements with him, or him trying to develop more human elements with, because he's not afraid to ask for help. I mean, that's one of the biggest parts of being human. So that's one thing that kind of really stood out to me. As far as Lois, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I definitely feel like at this moment, like Lois is definitely like one of the most important characters in DC, or at least right now in the DCU. Superman and Clark Kent just don't work without Lois, and the DC universe just doesn't work without Superman. So it's kind of like give and take. Some things that stood out with me with Lois particularly were just her intelligence. Like you never really see like in any other like previous iterations with like any other Superman film that how smart Lois is. Her adaptability, her ability to hold others accountable, especially like, and not to kind of like go back and forth, but one of my favorite moments of the film were when, I guess you could say, Clark slash Superman and Lois were having that debate in that apartment. It was really, really, really tough to look at, but you can really see how like emotional and how vulnerable both of them were being. They were showing like some toughness. Lois is very skeptical. That's one other thing that stood out with me with her. Um, Man, to think about favorite characters.
It's hard because there's so many like great characters that stand out, like Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner. Like,
Yeah,
so I definitely think it's hard.
I'm gonna lean towards Mr. Terrific. As my favorite character of the film. James Gunn does a really great job of really like fleshing out characters that people really don't know about, and he just brings so much interest to you. Like, oh, I don't know who, for an example, Mr. Terrific is. Let me go and do some research, see what their background is, and kind of go from there. But I really liked his back and forth with Clark. It was definitely refreshing. Kind of felt like a little bit of like a big brother, little brother dynamic. Mr. Terrific in the grand scheme of things is just like a character that can like inspire intelligence, like being a superpower, in this world where people are seeing like, oh, Superman has super strength. Guy Gardner has the ring that can manifest anything that he's thinking about. But nobody thinks about being smart as being cool. So he's inquisitive, he's informative, and a lot of individuals can't have super strength. So, but one thing that you can control is intelligence. So you can get up, you can read a book, you can learn. That's why I think like Mr. Terrific is probably my favorite character of the film. So.
And in the words of the new age kids, he just got aura, bro. Like, come on, like he just fly. He got swag. Like, man, you said it beautifully. Mr. Terrific is my standout. With Guy Gardner as well. There's characters I wanted more from, and I do want to talk about this really quickly, like the Hall of Justice and everything like that. I mean, AF asked a little bit earlier about the mural, like the JSA. Do I have the mural? It was off pod, but we got some information about the mural too. So many different characters in that background. That was also another one of my favorite moments. So I want to ask now, TJ, favorite moments you got for me?
Favorite moments overall is tough. One thing with characters I did want to mention briefly is as much as I loved all of these characters, I agree Terrific was like the standout of the group. I thought Hawk Girl was pretty underserved. I feel like when you have Isabella Merced, use her more. Like she's just so incredible and so lovely, such a good actor, so charming. And I thought the Hawk Girl scream was kind of weird, both the look and the sound. And I just felt like the character was underserved a little bit. But one of my favorite moments in the entire movie was with her when she's going, I'm not Superman. And she just drops the dictator and kills him. That is absolutely perfect. Yeah, the world needs Superman, but the world could use some hot girls right now as well, just coming in, boop, scooping some people up. But that was like one of my favorite moments in the movie is just like a tiny thing. And then for the big ones, it's just seeing Superman's Boy Scout nature come out when we've seen him be this hardened Jesus figure in the past over these past few movies, and now we get to see him saving the squirrel and saving the dog and saving the little girl, and like that stuff is my favorite Superman kind of moments, because that to me is who he is.
Oh, 100%. 100%. That's actually another one of my, that's probably my top three right there. You guys all kind of hit it for me. And that's the squirrel moment. Him saving the squirrel, I was like, that, and James Gunn came out saying that he almost took it out because it didn't do well in test audiences, but he kept it in. I'm like, that's why, you know what, sometimes just stick with what you feel like is best. And maybe not everything needs to be tested. You know what I mean? AF, what you got? Favorite moment for you?
Yeah, dude. Favorite moment for me was Mr. Terrific just going crazy at that campsite. And Lois is just chilling in that bubble, watching everything around her. What is a James Gunn movie without a sequence like that? Killer soundtrack in the back, and he's just doing his thing on the outside. It was phenomenal. I loved it.
Yeah, you hit it, bro. That camera work to me was like, I think that's something that I don't think people talk enough about is James Gunn's like camera work, like how he moves the camera essentially. All right, we kind of glossed over, like I said a little bit earlier about the Hall of Justice. Do you guys have any thoughts? A little bit of kind of jumping forward, but like theory time about the Hall of Justice and like characters that are going to be or actors that you think, because he did say that there's a famous actor that's going to be on that mural, a part of the MetaHumans history. So, you guys have any thoughts? I know I just hit you with a crazy curveball, but I'm trying to jump ahead a little bit so we got some Fantastic Four time. I want to talk a little bit as well about the Supergirl cameo and the big switch with Jor-El's message. So, kind of compiling all of this together with a little bit of theory time and the JSA stuff. You guys have, and I'm going to go right back to you, AF. Do you have any thoughts or theories for me when it comes to the future of the DCU, the past of the DCU, maybe something we might get in Woman of Tomorrow with Supergirl, all of that?
So I'm just going to go to the mural real quick because I think I identified a few of the characters that James Gunn sort of released last night in those two pictures, and there's Black Pirate, Max Mercury, Zatara, Liberty Bell, like right on the end. That one gives it away. She's holding a bell. So we have Maxwell Lord. You can see Sean Gunn, animated version of Sean Gunn. Wildcat 5, Freedom Beast, Atomic Knight. And I think the person that he's speaking about, a famous actor who's going to be playing one of these characters, next to Black Pirate, there's somebody holding up like a wooden hammer that looks like an Amazonian warrior. I don't know if we are still getting Paradise Lost, which is going to be set like very much in the past. I think the famous actor is probably going to be playing an Amazonian warrior who was probably in the JSA in the past. That's just my hunch.
That's one of my theories as well. I have a whole like Wonder Woman Paradise Lost like concept theory. I actually think the game that got canceled was a part of that. You hit, I think, every character. Did you mention Moana Beast too? I think that Moana Beast might be there as well. You said
Sandman
Beast,
was there too.
Sorry?
Sandman was there too.
Sandman is there. I think that is Sandman there.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but there's like, I mean, we could kind of jump straight into to TJ now and talk a little bit about same stuff, but more like Supergirl things. And if you have any other theories as well, because you kind of, I mean, AF, you hit everybody. I think for the most part. I think maybe it's like 3 people, but I think you hit everybody.
There's about like 7 or 8 of them that I didn't get it.
Okay.
I don't know who they are. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All I
you
recognize,
might have to do a little research then. You might have to do a little research on a little episode, bro.
AF miles ahead of me. All I recognized was Sandman and Zatara, but I could absolutely see Zatara being played by a really big name actor as well in the DCU, because I think Zatanna will be a character that is likely, or hopefully, a big focus in this universe. She is one of my favorite DC characters in general. So I'm really excited to get some Zatanna. But I could see Zatara just playing like a not much screen time mentor role in the DCU that gets brought up with Zatanna, and you have him, maybe Zatanna's a young up and coming actor, and you have Zatara be a big name guy, and because it's not a huge role, you're not breaking the bank too much kind of thing. I don't have any Supergirl theories, but I will say I really love the quick portrayal that we got from Millie Alcock. I have not read Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow because Damon, my co-host on Agents of Fandom, has been pushing me to not read it till after the movie. Don't get spoiled. Like, if they're very closely adapting this story, it is one of the best comic book stories, especially on the DC and Supergirl side of things. So try and go in unspoiled and just dive into this story.
That's actually really fair.
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait to read it till after the movie comes out. And then my biggest theory from this, and it would potentially be a little repetitive, but I don't know if they care that much, because how much of the general public has really seen Young Justice, how much of the general public has really seen the Titans live action show. I kind of think when I'm watching him fight Ultraman, and Lex is talking about Ultraman at the end of this movie, and he goes, "I cloned you with your DNA, but he came out like an idiot." That to me screams, okay, what would the next move be? He comes out of an idiot, only using Superman's DNA. What would Lex think of to make him smarter? Using his own. And I think that was the setup for Connor Kent. And I could absolutely see the Teen Titans movie we're talking about getting being the creation of Connor Kent and the Titans first having to go up against him and eventually recruiting him.
TJ, I think we might get a Cadmus logo in Peacemaker Season 2. That's my theory.
Ooh, I like that.
A logo of Cadmus Labs.
You guys, I mean, we must be in the interweb circle that, or our spidey senses are tingling, because y'all hitting some of my theories. Y'all hitting some of the theories that I had. And TJ, you mentioned Ultraman. I want to throw in a quick theory because we hear a little bit of theory time and cameos and all that good stuff. But I want to throw one of mine in. Ultraman might come back, man. I know that's like a thing that people are saying out there. I think that could easily have been just him thrown into another universe. It is a black hole, right? But we've known Superman or Ultraman to survive some things that are a little black.
Opinion on something really quick?
Of course.
How do y'all feel? And this is James Gunn's DC universe, so we don't know how everything is going to really play out. But how do y'all feel about this Ultraman potentially turned into like a Bizarro?
Oh, I think it's happening.
I think that's what it is. But yeah, I think that, yeah.
Okay.
I think that's like one of the biggest theories out there right now. The reason I mentioned Supergirl, and because this kind of ties back into a little bit of one of the theories I have, is the big switch I mentioned in our, like, when I sent you guys the breakdown. But the Jor-El message, right? The Jor-El message in the comics, it's never, Superman's never been sent really, depending, but it's never really been he's sent to take over or anything like this, right? Um, it's kind of like a whole, I mean, James Gunn, when he was making the movie, put it out like he was reading Burns Run, Birthright, things like that. A lot of people aren't too happy about that. Do you guys have any feelings regarding, number one, that? And then with Supergirl, my theory is, how do we know that isn't potentially, even James Gunn did say that it's official, but that could easily be a setup for somebody like Brainiac might have changed the message itself. So do you guys, number one, have any thoughts about that? And then running it back to, if you feel any type of way about the Jor-El message, go right back. And that kind of really wraps up our Superman talk. Go right back to you, CJ.
I wouldn't really say that I had like an issue with the message. Now, it definitely was a little bit of like a huge switch up that I wasn't really expecting. I know like in the past we've never really like gone into detail about the message that Clark is receiving when he's getting to Earth. I thought it was a good moment as far as bringing Clark's like vulnerability out again. Like he instantly lost trust within everybody that was in Metropolis because of that. I personally thought when it happened that I'm really big with tech, so I thought it got hacked. I thought the engineer went in, changed some things with the message, but come to find out, no, that was the actual message, and Clark was sent down there on kind of like some Omni-Man stuff to kind of like take over the planet. But I personally didn't have an issue with it. I really could appreciate how Clark in that moment was like, no, I'm essentially like my own person. I got this first part of the message. I'm basing my life off of this. And he was just as shocked as everybody else. But I liked how he continued to want to be able to be that beacon of hope for everybody, not only like in Metropolis, but around the world as well. So.
Oh, you guys are all on one today, like synergy, because Beacon of Hope. Speaking of Beacon of Hope, my friend TJ here has a great article out about Superman and his Beacon of Hope and what that means for, the world today. I wanted to highlight that real quick. TJ, going right to you. Do you have any feelings? Because it's the internet, man. The internet is talking, me and AF are comic people, man, right? Like we do. But I personally didn't. Did you have any feelings about the change, the switch up, Jor-El's message? And do you think anything with Brainiac or Supergirl might play a part into that?
I would have liked if something Brainiac played into it. I kind of felt that was actually one of the weaker points of the movie, where they just went, trust us, bro, it's real. No, seriously, it's real. Mr. Terrific said so now. It's real too. He knows those guys. It just kind of felt like a little bit of like we don't have time to dive into this, so like let's just say it a few times so that the audience knows it's true. It's true. And it just kind of felt like a little weak to me, but I would have liked if there was some Brainiac stuff involved, but I honestly don't care about the turn. I think that's fine. I also think like in the context of Lex trying to turn everybody against him, it sounded bad, but like in the context of your world is 47 minutes away from being blown up. You have just sent your baby to another planet. It's not that evil and dark to be like, hey, do whatever you can to make more Kryptonians since you're the last one. Hey, try and repopulate a little bit because you're the only person that carries the DNA of our entire planet. Is there anything really that bad about that? Like, yes, he said, like, be their king. It's not great. It's not good by any means, but it's like, it's not quite like Viltrumite level, like it's not quite, you're going to conquer this planet, kick everybody's ass and make them your slaves, as much as it was like, spread that seed, little boy, spread that seed because you're the last one.
It didn't feel like conquering. Like, it didn't feel like colonialism. It felt more, I kind of agree with you there. It felt still like the joke on the internet is harem. And that's a funny like way to, And I do kind of feel like that's the best way to describe it. It's like, hey, my boy, like, go ahead, get your shit. You know what I'm saying? Get your shit off. Hey, but I do again the car thing. I'm not really. If it doesn't happen, it wasn't Brainiac. No setups with Supergirl. I think that little tidbit with Supergirl herself was enough. That we got, and it's not really even a setup. It's just like a, all right, bitch, I'll see you later. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it didn't feel anything crazy. And I like that with James Gunn's film. He doesn't set too much up for anything next. If you're in our circles, like, then you kind of just know, you know what I mean? AF, any last thoughts regarding the Supergirl thing and the big switch with the message?
I think I'm pretty much aligned with the rest of you guys. I didn't really have any. I wasn't upset about it. They added an extra layer for Clark and Superman to overcome something, especially with the public turned against him. And then, yeah, the Supergirl thing, we got an introduction to Carter. That's all that I wanted in this movie, because it basically sets up Women of Tomorrow, and I love that book, and I think it's going to be amazing. And we now know the type of mannerisms this Carter is going to have as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, I love that. Just to end off with my thoughts about this movie, and that is Superman stands for hope. And if we're thinking outside of this movie, what is happening right now in the world with the war in the Middle East, and how this movie basically just like zoned in and spotlighted that entire thing. And as a result of that, there's been news articles and people sharing Instagram stories and Twitter feeds and all of these things about how Superman is very much anti-genocide. So that is spreading that word further, and it's just adding more hope. So it's spreading hope within the DCU and in the real world as well.
And if I can piggyback off of that a little bit, I've been like listening to a few other podcasts, and I've kind of almost heard it as a critique that when a movie is really on the nose like that, where it's like, I feel like it's praised when a movie is, touching on those themes, but is very subtle about it and is very allegorical about it, and almost critiqued when a movie is straight up on the nose of being like, this is what's happening, this is how our character would feel. I think in a day and age where we are learning more and more with the defunding of education and stripping of resources for educational institutions, I don't think on the nose is a bad thing. I don't think most people are very smart. I think most people are idiots. And to have something be really on the nose, especially with a character like Superman, going, this is the guy, this is the champion of hope and justice and the person who is supposed to do the right thing. That's why Man of Steel sucks as a Superman movie. Because yes, Superman is this all-powerful being. He's OP, he's too strong, but he will always do the right thing. And that's what puts him in difficult situations, is he will never compromise a life to save the overall planet. He will always try and save everyone. And so I think it's smart to have it on the nose and go, this is the guy who always does the right thing. This is what he would think about that situation.
You hit it perfectly, man. I think it's just that. It's like people don't want to be told that there's a bad guy. It's like, oh, well, he has to be interpreted. Maybe we're not understanding. Like, no, it's just a bad guy. That's a bad person. And it's okay to punch Nazis in the face. Like, that's okay. Like, you know what I mean? So that's like the whole, I mean, I love Kevin Feige's Variety article that just came out talking about like DEI, woke, all of these terms that like, do you even know what they mean? Like, do you care like that significantly to, so I think things like this, for me specifically, just matter. It's on the nose. It's in your face, like TJ said, and it's needed. I actually had this conversation with Denise about it, and you're not going to get change, right? I mean, you need change to be in your face. It doesn't necessarily need a time period to adapt. You need things to be in your face. And she actually helped me kind of think about that, like realizing that we had a conversation kind of segueing into Fantastic Four about Sue being the leader of the Fantastic Four, right? In this movie. Before we jump right over into the Fantastic Four, what we do have to look forward to from the DCU We have Jimmy Olsen's show in development, apparently, with Gorilla Grodd's DC introduction, a Mr. Terrific trademark that I don't think they said if it's a series or a movie yet. We have Peacemaker season 2 coming August 21st. Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow next summer, June 26th. Lantern has just finished wrapping production. Clayface is in production, and we have a Wonder Woman script with by the same writer who actually did Woman of Tomorrow, as well as the same. She is doing the Teen Titans live action movie, and that is Anna. I don't want to butcher her last name. I think it's Nogiri. That's what we got for the DCU and Superman. So I want to segue right into the Fantastic Four and our first impressions and first thoughts. And like I said, one of the conversations I immediately had with Denise right after the movie, seeing it on Thursday, was Sue being the leader. I told her, I don't know if I like always synergy in things. For me, reading Fantastic Four comics, it was always Reed. And in comics right now, they made it. There's a new Fantastic Four comic that just came out on last Wednesday, Fantastic Four issue 1 by Ryan North. And it's Sue. And I was like, okay, there's synergy. I think the only thing that she's not the leader in right now is like Marvel Rivals. And so we had a conversation about it, like an in-depth conversation. And she very much helped me look at have a whole different perspective and agree where, to bring this full circle, like kind of the TJ's point with Superman, change needs to be in your face. Things need to be across the board. We need to push things. And so Sue being the leader in the comics, in the movie, now for me is like, oh yeah, that makes sense. She's always been the heart and soul, and women are tired of taking this role of having to be what keeps the family together. No, I can do that while also being the person that can touch other people and get them on our side like she did in the movie. So that was one of my first impressions leaving this movie. And I was thinking about these characters and how they interacted with each other and in this world. AF, go right straight back to you. What are you? I think it was you next, if I'm not mistaken, but we'll go right to you anyway. What were your first impressions, Fantastic Four, and then about these characters?
Yeah, so I've watched it twice already. I enjoyed it.
How?
Thursday and Friday.
That's
I
crazy.
watched it twice. So the first time, like, I enjoyed it, but I had some quips and some qualms with it. The second time watching yesterday, I enjoyed it for what it was, and just a high level. I think it was visually stunning. I think it was, like, from a visual perspective, everything was done extremely well. The way that they sort of condensed the origin story into that sort of sequence, that was also really well done. I think, like, everybody's seen all of these, like, origin stories from these characters already, so you shouldn't have to put people through that. But I just think that the way that they've done things in this movie and in Superman as well, sort of the same beats were taken. But yeah, I enjoyed it. 8.5 out of 10 is, I think, what I've given it. Probably going to watch it a third time as well, just to get my full, you know.
You need a fourth time. You need all 4 times. What do you mean?
I'm gonna have to see how my bank account does with that one.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Now I got a question for you. Before I get right into TJ's first thoughts, did you have any? Did you watch it in IMAX any of the times?
Yeah, the second time I watched it in IMAX 3D, and
Okay.
I cannot recommend that enough for this movie.
Did the aspect ratio change for Galactus for you?
I don't think so, because so my IMAX, we don't have the full IMAX experience. We have something called laser IMAX here in South Africa. So small things like that, like, we probably won't even notice it. We don't have, like, the biggest screens or anything like that over here, but it was still a great viewing experience nonetheless.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it was like Interstellar and Star Wars. The reason why I asked visually is because I remember, I think director Matt Shackman said something about, like, the aspect ratio was supposed to change with Galactus being on screen, which, by the way, Galactus was very imposing, and you felt him. I mean, Ralph Ensign was amazing, but that was something I think I had an expectation for going into the film. I was like, okay, reading that quote, like reading that And then seeing it, I went to my first viewing, my only viewing in IMAX, and I didn't see it. But I agree with what you said. I mean, it was great. These characters were great visually. Again, to me, it was Interstellar, especially that space chase sequence with Silver Surfer. Like, it felt like I was watching Interstellar mixed with, like, it was Star Wars, because Star Wars to me feels realistic. It felt realistic. So that in those two was like visually just cinematic. TJ, what do you got for me? First thoughts. I mean, and if you want, you can kind of jump around, because I mean that's what AF did. Like talk about it all. Fuck it.
Sorry, dude.
You're good. No, you're good. We need time to kind of rush anyway, so it works. It works.
In reference to the Sue thing that you brought up earlier, I just think it doesn't make sense for like Reed to be the leader of this team, like especially with this type of portrayal of Reed. He's the dumb smart guy. Like he's not a leader. He's never really been a good leader. What happens when he stops listening to what Sue has to say and what Johnny and Ben have to say, and he just starts trying to lead everything himself? He turns into the maker. And so I don't necessarily think that like Reed is like that guy. I think it has kind of always been Sue, and we see it in this movie where what happened when Reed tried to lead the Illuminati in Multiverse of Madness. He goes up to Wanda and he's like, Black Bolt could annihilate you by opening his mouth. And she's like, well, you should have told me that. What mouth? What happens when Reed tries to lead in this one? He's like, everyone, we talked to Galactus and he said he'll save the world if we give him our baby.
I wouldn't have said anything.
He tells him that.
Denise said that. Denise immediately said that. She said, why would he say that? And I was like, I would have done that. I would have been honest. And she's like, yeah, because she told me straight up, she's like, dumb. Like that's dumb. Like,
and it's like, it's one of those things where it's like he is so smart at solving the equation, at doing whatever you need, was solving whatever problem you need solved, but he is not interpersonal. He is not empathetic. He doesn't have that ability to think like, hey, this is how people will react to that. That's Sue. As scientifically intelligent as Reed is, Sue is emotionally intelligent. And above all else, Sue always wants to say like, hey, what if we don't destroy these people? What if we just solve our problem? What if we just talk it out? What do you need? What do we need? How can we come to a compromise? And I think the pair of them together is so great from that front, because you do have Reed who can solve every problem and Sue who can communicate any problem the way that it needs to be communicated, so that when you have a situation of when it's like, okay, planet Earth, shut your lights off at the same time, they'll do it, because this Fantastic Four has created world peace. And I don't think you get a Fantastic Four that can create world peace with Reed leading the charge, because ultimately all Reed will care about is innovation. And a lot of time when you're innovating and you're pushing forward, you're leaving people behind in the process. And Sue's the one to make sure that that never happens.
Oh man, that was beautifully said. I couldn't even said it better than myself. Like, damn,
I don't know follow up after that. That's
nah. You gotta talk to me about your first impressions and again these characters. I need to hear it.
Yeah.
Also, I love the movie. I forgot to say that, but I adore this movie.
Yeah. What is it? We can kind of ask real quick, AF and TJ. TJ, real quick back to you. What do you have it on? Letterboxd review or out of 10? I don't care.
Yeah, I haven't thrown anything on Letterboxd, but I'd give this a 9 out of 10. I put it at 4.5 out of 5 on my Agents of Fandom review, which I believe actually just got published about 7 minutes ago as the time that we're recording this. And so, yeah, I put it 4.5 out of 5, 9 out of 10. I think this is, I have a very tough time ranking things in comparison to Avengers movies, because those are just like the big events. And also in comparison to Spider-Man stuff, because I love Spider-Man as much as I love the rest of the Marvel universe combined. Like, Spider-Man's my guy. And so, like, thinking about it, this is the only after one viewing, the only non-Avengers, non-Spider-Man MCU movie that I know I like a lot more is Captain America Winter Soldier, because to me that's a perfect movie. That is a 10 out of 10 perfect film. I feel like on first viewing I would put Fantastic Four up with anything else.
Wow.
I think Fantastic Four is a very, for me, it's like I compare it in relation to the MCU Phase 1 movies, because I feel like it has the building blocks over there in the way that the Phase 1 movies in MCU had them as well. So there's enough building blocks over there. They've laid the foundation, no pun intended, for the movie to like catapult these characters forward. And I think Matt Chapman did a brilliant job at doing that.
It's in like the Black Panther Guardians of the Galaxy tier for me, and I just need to watch it more times whether or not to figure out whether or not it's above or below those movies for me.
You guys got this thing high. I don't have it that high. I don't know. CJ, what about you? You got it that high too?
So I've been kind of bouncing back and forth between like a 8.5, kind of similar to AF, up to a 9. I'm still probably going to stay within that 8.5 mark. Not saying that that's like a bad thing. When I think of like, I really rarely give 10s. Like I guess a film that's like in the MCU that would probably give like a 10 would be like a Winter Soldier, an Infinity War. It's really a small window with that. But as of right now, I would give it like an 8.5 out of 10. Like I said, nothing wrong with that. I do, as far as like my quick breakdown. I know y'all been going crazy with the breakdowns. I think this is probably one of Marvel's best films visually, minus the Franklin CGI.
The baby.
Yo,
Yeah.
that's it. I was okay. I thought it was just
Oh,
me.
he looks so bad.
The birth, right? The birth.
No, not the
And
birth.
the Galactus stuff.
Yeah. That.
I didn't see that. I thought it was all right there, but I thought you guys were talking about the birth. Like I was furious. I was like, what? Like this was visually a masterpiece. Why would you show this child? Just cover
Those are the two parts. The birth in space and the Galactus scene for me that I was like, because it's a real baby, right? Like they have a real baby utilized for this movie, but those were the two ones that it's like the birth looked like just CGI slop. The Galactus thing looked like you had this beautiful set piece that you literally just went on Adobe Photoshop and just plopped the baby on top of it.
I gotta rewatch that. Oh man,
yeah, it really threw me off, and I'm like, I see it. I don't know if y'all like were kind of like slim on the budget with when it came to like the baby at this point, but it's okay. I can oversee that. But overall, it was a beautiful film. Kind of similar to like Superman, kind of like what AF and TJ were talking about. We already know the origin of the Fantastic Four. We're just getting little snippets, which was perfect in my opinion. I don't think we needed a whole backstory with the whole rinse and repeat. This is our, count the 1994 version, our 4th time seeing them in live action. I really loved when the tone in space. Love that. I love the whole family dynamic. As far as the character aspects, and I'll kind of hold like my opinion on Sue for like probably last, but I could really appreciate how, for an example, Ben, he didn't let like his transformation like really drive him into like a depression with like other iterations that we've seen. Johnny was low-key, sneaky intelligent in this film. Like when you're in a room full of everybody that has intelligence that are like 10s and 11s out of 10s and you're at 8, you're still a pretty intelligent guy. He's selfless. He's charming. We really don't see, excuse my language, like the dick version of Johnny in this situation, which he was low-key a standout in my opinion. And
this is the first movie that reminded you like, oh yeah, by the way, Johnny's an astronaut.
Yeah. Like people forget about that. Like Johnny is a very intelligent guy. And kind of going off of what TJ said earlier, Reed kind of, he's trying to be empathetic, but he sucks at empathy. He's very persistent, but I get it. Pedro Pascal did an amazing job with being Reed. I was kind of like holding my opinion back until like I actually saw it in live performance, but he did his thing.
I told people. I told them.
He did his thing. And then lastly with Sue is probably going to go down as like my it was really close between Sue and Johnny. But I would say Sue is probably like my favorite character of the film, arguably the strongest of the group. This is the first time, and correct me if I'm wrong, that I've seen really Sue be pushed out in this like leadership type role. Like she's the clear-cut leader. She's the strongest of the group. She's the leader of the group. And there's this just dynamic between her and Reed in this film with them bouncing off each other, kind of like what you guys were talking about earlier. And Vanessa Kirby just killed it. That's all I can say. She killed
Vanessa
it.
Give her the
Kirby
world.
is Vanessa Kirby to me is one of the best performances the MCU has had, in
I
my
guess
in my opinion.
I can see
This
why she was the first one that was casted, and then they built everything else around her. Like,
and you brought up the interactions with Reed. That was actually that was one of my favorite moments. Was that moment of her and Reed in the house talking about like give that first interaction where she's like, "You've been thinking about giving him to Galactus," and he's like, "I have to," and she's like, "And you know the way you think or the way you are sometimes hurts me." I was like, "Oh, I feel you, Reed," because I seen myself as Reed in that moment. I was like, sometimes you just think you have all of this anxiety, you have all of this that you're insightful, or you think you're wise, and it's like, well, I'm thinking about how I need to say things to not hurt this person, or I'm thinking about how I want to act in this moment to not, And so I just felt like in that moment, that was my actual favorite moment. And Sue, the way Sue she just captivated me. I want to pass it to AF real quick because I know he has to dip out. Any final thoughts before you gotta go, bro? Any theories, anything you want to throw out there about this movie?
I can stay on for about 10 minutes longer, so I'm good.
Okay.
To keep on going on for a bit, but yeah, just my favorite character. I mean, you guys all said it. Like Sue Storm, she was amazing, but Johnny Storm, very very close second.
yeah,
I mean, there was like all of them had amazing moments. Reed just being his fantastic self. I mean, like we spoke about his empathy. We spoke about like him, like not really knowing. Like there were times I was sort of comparing him. Like I don't know if anybody's watched The Big Bang Theory, but Sheldon sometimes thinks that he's doing the right thing, but he's not. But he still means well. And I think like on a higher scale, Reed also thinks that he's doing the correct thing, but I mean, his awareness isn't that great, and I think over movies it's going to improve, and he's going to be like more self-aware and how to act and what to say and how like which way to do things. But I like that they did that because that's pretty much comic accurate in terms of who Reed Richards is, and it gets spotlighted a lot. Just Ben being he seems like the support buddy in that group, the shoulder to lean on for everything, the guy that's going to come over and put his arm around you. He was the first one to notice about Sue being pregnant. He like basically he has these jabs with Johnny, but it's so friendly. But he's battling demons of his own. He's walking alone in the street and he's thinking about the life that he had. And I don't think people really think about that. Like he's basically battling those things all on his own. But they all had amazing moments. I think that they did the characters really, really well. If I'm just going to speak about my favorite moment, and that's besides Sue's like amazing moment right at the end, but Shala Ball going through that wormhole,
yeah.
surfing, chasing Excelsior, and that's a cool little Easter egg as well for Stanley. But that's probably the most visually stunning scene I've seen in the MCU in probably ever. It was so well done.
That's one of the best sequences, top 5 sequence to me in the MCU.
I agree.
You hit a lot of great points, man. I want to ask you really quickly, Doom thoughts. Doom
Can we
post credits.
before we
Oh,
go
yeah,
past
yeah.
Ben, I just want to say I thought Eben Moss-Bachrach's performance and the writing was so great with Ben, but he was underserved.
He was. I wanted more of him.
Yeah,
There was so clearly
I
a
wanted more.
full Ben Grimm side plot that did not make the movie because Natasha Lyonne's character was obviously supposed to be far more involved. There was a bit like a full romance there, and I appreciate that we still got to see Ben's Judaism represented because he he is one of the like most notably practicing Jewish characters in comics. So I did appreciate that representation, but I wanted more of Ben. Like it felt like I've been saying this about basically every movie since Endgame. This would be a lot better if it was 20 minutes longer so they could do a little bit more character exploration.
This movie would have benefited from 20 to 30 minutes more. That
What was
was one of my issues is pacing. It was 1 hour and 55 minutes.
Really?
That personally was one of my
Just shy of 2
biggest
hours.
issues.
Yeah.
With pacing. Pacing to me actually was another big issue I had. But I mean, TJ, you bring up a great point. Ben being underserved. I I needed more from him, Galactus, and Silver Surfer personally. Like I wanted more of that, and I think just an extra, even 20 minutes, just minimum, would have benefited from that. Little more screen time.
Yes.
I'm like, imagine 20 more minutes. I get not everybody liked the comedy, but imagine 20 more minutes of just gore stuff in Thor: Love and Thunder, and how much better of a movie that would have been with just 20 more minutes of Christian Bale cooking.
Yeah.
Imagine how much better the Marvels would have been with 20 more minutes exploring Carol's grief of being the Annihilator and ruining the Kree population's resources, and have them just chilling together, Monica, Kamala, and Carol, because it's some of the best chemistry in all of the MCU. Just give us that time to develop instead of trying to pack it into an under 2 hour movie. Like for a comic book movie in a established universe, to me, 2 to 2.5 is the perfect number, and this one should have been closer to the 2.5 range.
100% agree. 100% agree. I that's like besides the pacing, I do have an issue with the, like you said, characters being underserved. But what I will say is, I think this was one of the most beautiful written stories in the MCU. For me, it hits very personal. I don't want to get too personal. I said this on my live stream last night, spoiler free, but the movie gets really personal for me and people in my life. I could go take this. My mom could watch this on Disney Plus, and it would make her emotional. You know, so like this to me was one of the most beautifully written stories of the MCU. But a pacing thing I thought was a problem was like the intro. Like I think the origin story montage works if they would have given us a little more. And I also had some issues with like character representation, like interpretations, like Mole Man. I love Subterranea, but I felt like Mole Man I could have gotten a little more from. And that's why to me, because this movie has some of those, this is the best of the MCU elements, but it also has things that I'm not like too fond of, which is why to me it's not a perfect movie, right? I want to throw it really quick back to AF because I know you got to dip out. Doom post credits, future of the MCU, and what would you rate this movie? I don't think we did that yet.
I feel like I wanted a little bit more in terms of the post-credit scene, and I'm going to tell you why. After this, we get Eyes of Wakanda, not related to Doomsday. Then after that, we get Marvel Zombies, not related to Doomsday. After that, we get Wonder Man, not related to Doomsday. Daredevil Season 2, no relation to Doomsday. Spider-Man Brand New Day, there could be a tie-in, but
Possibly.
for the most part, it's going to be street level. We'll probably get a post-credit scene or something with him going out and finding an alternate reality somehow, or maybe even that's where the Fantastic Four scene, post-credit scene from Thunderbolts actually ties in. So we get the post-credit scene of them actually landing on Earth. But then after that, the Punisher special presentation probably won't be related to Doomsday as well. So all of those, I think it's like 6 projects coming up before Doomsday, and none of them really tie into it. So I was hoping that this post-credit scene would have a bit more substance in terms of Doomsday and what's to come.
I'm gonna take it a step further, bro. I think I wanted that from the movie. I wanted a little bit. I know this is an established universe on its own. It's Earth 838, but I think I wanted a little bit more MCU connections or overarching stuff to impact. Now, there's, we could always dive into theories and things like that with Galactus and all of that. There's obviously Easter eggs and references that we could pull from. But I think even though this was a more self-contained, family-focused story, there's some things that I wanted, like I needed to connect because to your point, the next big overarching thing is Doomsday. And I felt like this should have tied into that a little bit more. Now we did get those, Easter eggs and references like Latveria not being shown. What I would have loved, I was like waiting for this, and this is an expectation, so I don't take, anything away from the film from this, but that scene where they're basically launching the bridge to transport the world, I was like, when it failed, I was like, oh, Doom's about to call them and tell them, Richards, I figured it out when you couldn't figure it out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just to have that one up. And when that, it was like things like that, I was just waiting. I was like, okay, they might throw Doom in there. They might actually. And when it was just like the Latveria thing twice, I was like, all right. And then the post credit, I also don't know if I liked the post credit with him taking his mask off, but what I will say is TJ said something last night on the Agents of Fandom live stream, talking about their review, like, their review and their reactions. And you said that what if Franklin was healing
Yep.
Doom? That did not cross my mind or
Yep.
anybody that I have spoke with at all. And I think you might be onto something with that. I think two things can happen there, and I want to build off what you said there. So this is my now, not mine, like I'm taking over, but like this is like my working theory, right? Based off of what you said. I feel like two things could either happen. Either what you said, he's either healing him because Doom is horribly disfigured, or they're gonna play it like originally Jack Kirby's comic, where all he had was the scar, and maybe he goes to Franklin to try to heal it, and it makes it worse, or he does actually heal it, but he only leaves the scar, and so that still bothers Doom, and he puts the hot mask on his face to make it worse. Because there's so many ways like that was like they've retconned that a bunch, but originally Kirby's intention was just the little small scar, but Doom's ego made him hide it. So based off your theory, I think there's just so many ways that they could go with that. But I love what you brought up there, because that wasn't even where my mind went. Originally, I was actually mad. I'm like, why is Doom taking his mask off? If he's ugly, that means he's showing this kid that he's ugly. And then my friends are like, no, that's making him more vulnerable with the kid. Like, look, I'm ugly too. So there's a lot of theories that just go into that one scene that even though me and AF want more, there's still so many theories we can pull from. But I still needed a little AF, I think you were about to say something though.
Like just off the back of that, because I didn't think about that either. And what if Doom has a previously different face, and then when Franklin heals him, he gives him Tony Stark's face? So his face wasn't originally Robert Downey Jr.'s face; it was somebody else.
And that's how we only have Robert Downey Jr. as Doom for 2 movies, and then they undo the whatever after Secret Wars. Hey, AF, you cooking?
I still don't think this is our main Victor Von Doom.
I don't think so either.
Like,
I don't think so either.
I'm still like on the fence with how things are going. I can see it being fleshed out a little bit more. One random thing though, did y'all notice like with the post credit scenes of like the Thunderbolts? And I just thought about this like when I was looking at the Fantastic Four post credit scene. There's like a parallel between the New Avengers and when y'all saw the Fantastic Four ship coming in, and was that similar, like the same room that Sue was in compared to? It looked like it was the same room. If you think about that, because when the ship is coming, they're going to a location that's familiar to them. That probably just parallels Earth 828.
I think the Baxter Building in this universe is Avengers Tower, essentially. Like I think it's in the exact same place. Or
no,
but no, it's not.
Pan Am. Pan Am, the Pan Am building that was in Fantastic Four. That's where Avengers Tower is in 616.
That was my thought process when I saw. I was like, wait a minute, this is kind of mirroring
like a little Easter egg thing there. That's interesting. I didn't even catch that.
I thought I saw a tweet, and I don't even know if I don't want to reference it for don't quote me on it, because I don't even know if this was like an aggregated thing that was butchered or if it actually was a direct quote. But I thought I saw Kevin Feige saying something about but when we're in Doomsday and we have more characters in the Baxter Building, and that made me kind of really that felt like a slip up from Kevin Feige, and made me realize we kind of always thought the Fantastic Four was going to be coming to our mainline universe. Are other people going there instead? Is that the universe that we're going to be going to and pulling people there instead of? I don't know. I'm very interested to kind of see how that plays out.
I'll be honest. One thing that I really was a little I talked about this yesterday, and I need to highlight it here. But one thing about this movie, I had high expectations going into this movie, very high. I wanted this movie to be groundbreaking. And although it was great, it was very great. I don't feel like it met my expectations. But with that being said, I think people we as people we have expectations, and when they're not met, we want to belittle the film or criticize it or whatever the case may be. But to me, this was, for what it was, a great film. That's why for me it's a 4 out of 5. And no, that's not because it's Fantastic Four. Just that's where I have it at. But I don't want I don't want my expectations to take away from how great this film was. Did I want more from Galactus and Silver Surfer? Absolutely. Did I want Mole Man or other characters to be portrayed differently? Absolutely. One of the things that I really wanted was I wanted them to transport the Earth. When that happened, I was like, this is how we get Secret Wars, like the whole 2 Earths next to each other thing. I was like, this is it. And then when that didn't happen, I'm like, oh, like, okay, I was a little bit of a letdown. And then TJ, when we talked about this, I think we had, did you guys bring me on for like a prep of, that's what it was, the premiere, right? Like the prep of Agents of Fandom 4, Fantastic Four. You brought this up, and I was like, how do they beat Galactus? And you were like, they don't. And that's what I, like, in my head, in my heart, I'm like, yeah, they're not going to beat him. Like, they have to run away. They're going to lose. They have to lose. They have to escape to Earth 616. I mean, it has to tie into the Thunderbolts post-credit scene, right? Like, something has to happen. Now there's theories like maybe that's Franklin and Doom, like, who knows, right? But that's kind of something I wanted, was them to lose. I needed them to lose. And that's so, with those expectations, right? What we got still doesn't take away from how great this, like what I expected doesn't take away from how great this film was. I loved the fact that it wasn't just an actiony like Marvel movie. It was a space adventure. Like that sense of adventure to me is something I love. I mean, I play video game. I mean, that's how that's what me and CJ do. We stream. We play video games. We basically want that sense of adventure to go on this journey, and that's what this movie felt like to me with a family. And that's really the best thing. I got 4 out of 5. I want to throw it to AF before he has to dip out. Final thoughts, brother. Final thoughts.
I'm just gonna speak about something that I don't think, well, I haven't seen it online anyway. But so the Thing's beard, right? I loved it. It was cool. But I think that they did it for a reason. I think we are going to see all different versions or variants of the Thing in either Doomsday or Secret Wars, and that was done to differentiate this Thing from Michael Chiklis and who played the Thing in the 2015 Fantastic Four.
We're not getting anybody.
I was about to, I tried to
Well,
repeat that my brain.
But to AF's point, you think they're bringing everybody back, like to play?
I'm just saying, like even if it's not the 2015 one, it was just Michael Chiklis, then I think that they're doing the beard thing as a differentiation tactic so that we can differentiate between the two things.
I see that. To be honest, my first thought process with the beard was to see how like to just test and play with him, like CGI on him, like to see how much they can do with the CGI. But I didn't even think about like an actual reference to something.
Think about like the VFX process. That's probably so much more work for the VFX team to do. So why would they be doing that if it's not for a specific reason?
I think it was just a nod to him having a beard in comics. I think
that's what I thought it was. I thought it was a little combination of what I was saying and with TJ. Yeah. I don't know.
The one thing I will say is I gave this a 4.5 out of 5, but as a contained movie, like contained just Fantastic Four movie, I think it's absolutely incredible. Most of my qualms with Marvel movies lately, and from an individual movie making standpoint, I know the general populace isn't as high on Marvel as they've been, but I think that's just literally borderline Mandela effect of what people are saying. Like Wakanda Forever, Shang-Chi, Spider-Man No Way Home, Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, all of these movies have come out in the last 5 years. Like Phase 3 was really, really great, but they're still making movies as good as they always have been. It's where the interconnectivity is kind of lacking the way that it used to be, and I don't think that is a failure as much as it's a conscious choice. I don't agree with the choice, but when they stopped making as much money and the pandemic started and they lost Kang, I think they kind of gave up on this phase from a connectivity standpoint, and they went, let's give everybody their nostalgia fest with Secret Wars. We're going to bring back RDJ. We're going to bring back the Fox X-Men. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. let's have our cash grab, and then let's start from not scratch from a reboot standpoint. I do think they're rebooting some stuff and not other stuff, just like Feige said. But let's start from scratch from a world building standpoint after Secret Wars with the mutants. The X-Men are our bread and butter. Let's get through this segment and make as much money as we can, and then let's restart our storytelling with the mutants in the next phase. I don't think they're worried about an overarching story right now. I think they're just going, let's make Doomsday and Secret Wars as good as we can, hope that they each make $1.5 billion, and start again.
I think that'll be a failure if it's 1.5 billion. They're going to be looking towards the 3 billion mark, in my opinion.
Think so?
I think so, especially with Secret Wars. I'm not too sure about Doomsday. I feel like 1.5 for Doomsday would be pretty good, but I think they're definitely going for 3 with Secret Wars.
I think they're going for 2. I'm gonna say 2. I feel like they need at least 2 with Secret Wars. I mean, you don't do one of the biggest comic events in history, and that was my point. Like, though, TJ is like, when I think of the overarching like thing, I think it's just that. It's like, okay, perfect. I think it's just that. Like, between those 2 movies, Doomsday and Secret Wars. That's what I mean, like, because we know like you said, it's not really even I think he used the word reboot, right? He didn't use the word reset, or no, he used the word reset because he said reboot is very a strong word essentially, where it's like a soft reset, and I think that that's the overarching thing is we know we're gonna get that reset. So after that, the mutant saga, and I think he said that in the Variety article that the X-Men is gonna be like starts, I guess, like our phase. That's another thing. Are they going to be phase 1 after Secret Wars? Or will it just be phase 7? You know what I mean? Like, that's certain things that I'm very curious about, too. It's just like little theories
I think
like
they're
that.
the whole phase thing. I think they're just going to be, like, I bet you the outlook of
like they disband it?
Yeah. I'm sure, like, the Marvel Cinematic Universe will still exist. I don't think the storytelling style of, here's our Phase 7 presentations, this is all of Phase 7 at San Diego Comic-Con, I don't think it's going to be that way anymore.
Yeah, I think it's good. What I was hoping, and I was telling this to some of the guys in the we have this chat with, like, Zen and a bunch of people called the Wakandan Council. And one thing I was hoping for, I still kind of hope for, is once Secret Wars does that soft reset, I don't think we'll get it because Feige did say it's going to be one singular timeline. But what I would have liked is to play with that aspect of I can drop a movie that takes place like Captain Marvel in the 1990s. Then I can drop a movie that takes place in modern times. I can have a future movie like Young Avengers, or what is it? The Future Avengers, where you got Black Panther and Storm's son, or you have and Ultron comes. I forget what that animated movie is called, but
I think it's just the next Avengers.
Yeah, some like whatever that one is, but you know what I'm talking about. That one specifically, like things like that. Drop movies in time, and that's what I was hoping is like that. Everything doesn't have to essentially connect.
Next Avengers, Heroes of Tomorrow.
Yup, that was where we had a Black Panther and Storm's son, Steve Rogers and Black Widow's son. And I'm not saying we need those characters, but what I mean is like a movie that takes place within the future, or within the past, or within the current time, modern times, and I think. That's what I was hoping, but when Feige recently in this Variety article says singular timeline, it kind of feels to me like it's just going to be like, again, a continuous story. And I don't know if you do a soft reset for that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. That's just me personally. Obviously, they'll probably cook with the storytelling. But
it's just the only way to get mutants into the universe making sense, and like that is priority 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like nothing else matters to them. I don't think.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, and he said as well, like somebody like characters like Iron Man and Captain America, Steve Rogers and Tony Stark, they will eventually be recast. So, I mean, he knows what's on the agenda already, and he's kind of just like laying those seeds for when they eventually come to fruition.
I think the soft reset, like to TJ's point, is just reset the storylines, like reset the world building. I think it's also. I can keep this actor on because their contract, and I want to maybe recast this person because, like Tony Stark or Steve Rogers, because we're trying to do more with them in the future, or whatever the case may be. The only thing that worries me with that is like a Steve Rogers when we have Sam Wilson. Like, and I remember when Brave New World was coming out, he mentioned how Sam Wilson will be Captain America for the Avengers for the next 10 years. Well, next year is going to be Doomsday, which works out perfectly. The year after that is Secret Wars, works out perfectly. But that's 3 years right there. So for the other 7, like, do you just throw Steve Rogers into the mix? Maybe they do it with a trilogy of Sam's movies.
When we're
Like,
talking to recasting Steve Rogers, we're talking when we are in our mid 40s, early 50s.
Yeah.
Us, you mean me and you?
I don't think it's happening anytime soon.
That's what I was thinking too.
It's happening in 10 to 15 to 20 years, not
Okay.
in
That's fair. I think
And
that's
it could be a
great.
situation where it could be like a passing of the mantle, kind of like when Sam got the Captain America mantle.
Or you have both of them at the same time. Because I mean, they run in the comics at the same time. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's things. If we get a trilogy of Sam, right, and then at the end of the 3rd movie, or they do another series, and at the end of the series, it's like Steve, but it's not Chris Evans, obviously, but it's a whole. We're in Secret Wars, new universe, so it's Steve there, and then they're like, oh, like little things like that, just build it up too, you know.
It'll be kind of similar.
There might be these characters who show up in a recasting situation, or it's Sam showing up in other people's movies. I would be surprised if there is a Captain America or Iron Man movie in the next 20 years. There's no reason
100%.
for them to do that. The only reason there ever were Iron Man and Captain America movies were because they couldn't make X-Men movies.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody gave a damn about Iron Man and Captain America until the MCU, and then they did because it was RDJ and Chris Evans. So, like, they're not gonna. I would highly, highly be surprised if there is any type of Captain America or Iron Man movie before 2040 at the absolute earliest, earliest.
Let me ask you this. This
I
is
agree.
a piggyback off of what you're saying now. And this for everybody here, but do you guys think after Secret Wars we have Avengers movies?
I still think so. I think we still have
because of the brand name, probably.
The brand name. That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking. And I think what it is now, and I mean, Secret Wars wasn't an Avengers movie. There were Avengers that happened to be in the Secret Wars, but it wasn't an Avengers like plot line. Neither one of them, the classic one or the 2015 one, right?
Yeah.
But they have to sell it as Avengers. Like, they have to get everybody feeling the way we felt in Infinity War and an Endgame. They need that money, right? And like you said, marketing, that branding. I think Avengers now is going to be just the event films. Like,
So after Secret Wars, when do y'all think we would have another Avengers film? Because if we're
I don't think it's 5 years. I think it's another 5 years. Just like, or what was it? 10? What is going to be damn near 10 years by the time?
It'll be 10 years at least minimum. Because that's.
I think after Secret Wars, we'll be getting an X-Men sort of team up film first before we get the next Avengers film.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't want it to be this way, but I could easily see us getting 2 movies where they establish the X-Men in the new timeline, make us fall in love with them, and then go X3, Avengers versus X-Men, and Sam comes back, and Captain Marvel comes back, and all of these people do something until they eventually all get along and whatever would
You
have
don't think
you.
they're
But,
going to
like,
do that in Doomsday and stuff?
I was about to say, I think we're going to get a little like snippet of that in Doomsday, because I mean, those are a lot of characters that you're just kind of forcing to kind of.
Oh yeah, we'll get some fights before the team ups. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be the. Sorry, F.
Sorry, Jam. I think that Miss Marvel is going to be that bridge between the Avengers and the X-Men.
Yeah.
I mean, you see it in the comic. I mean, AF, you see it in the comics. The synergy there with her having the hard light powers, now being a whole mutant. I don't know if I love that, but that's besides the point. I really like Iman Vellani, and I love her as Miss Marvel, and I actually really like the series for what it was. Like, I genuinely like it. So, I mean, I'm actually excited, and I loved her in the Marvels. Like, she was awesome. Like, so I think I got it.
And Kevin Feige gave her a name drop in that interview.
Yes,
I'd be surprised if she's not part of the new X-Men team, if not directly, like a adjacent member.
Yeah.
And that's what the only thing that worries me there is like you just said, it has to be an adjacent member, because I want that Young Avengers or Champion squad to still. I think there's an avenue there for like younger adults and teenagers to really become. I mean, like, my niece is 11, right? And she used to, as a kid, love superheroes, but now it's kind of just like, she's a little girly girl and she wants to get perfume and things like that. I think there's a lane there for like young kids, teenagers, young adults to like really fall in love with themselves in these characters, like the Young Avengers, like the champions. And so I think there's a lane there. That's the only thing that worries me is if she is an X-Men, still keep her with those teams, right? And they let her be a part of a bunch of different teams. I mean, Spider-Man, let him show up in a Fantastic Four movie. You know, things like that is something. I mean, I know there's a rights issue there, but things like that is what I would like to see more. I think that's where the multiverse struggled. The multiverse saga struggled as well. Is the whole, like you said it, TJ, the whole connectivity thing. We wanted that, and now because we're already getting close to that, ended off with Secret Wars and things like that. So I think this next moving into X-Men, I would like to see more things like that. Just throw. I mean, look at what James Gunn said about how he likes Superman. Like, you don't know who Mr. Terrific is? Tough. Like, and I would like to see that from the future of the MCU. Is like, I don't care if you don't know this, but I'm gonna just throw them in there. While we're trying to get more money, so we need the general public and the general populace to watch my movie. I think Superman is a clear indication. People will watch it whether they know these characters or not. Just make the film fun and like do cool shit because you can do cool shit. I think that, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's a little bit more of what I want going at, like with the X-Men and moving forward after Secret Wars. Just a little bit more like connectivity in the sense of I'm gonna just throw somebody in there because I can. I own the IP to this character. If I don't care if you don't know this person, I'm gonna throw this random X-Men in there like Glob because this mutant in there like Glob because I can. I'm gonna throw whoever. So I think that's a little bit more of what I need to see from the.
I would really like to see that too, and I do fear that we've already missed the boat for Young Avengers and Champions, and it just might not happen the way that we want it to because it'll be too late by the time after Secret Wars. I'm still kind of holding out hope that like either in Secret Wars or Doomsday, there is a major plot point where that is like I still think we're gonna have like these 4 different Avengers teams, right? Where there's gonna be one in the X-Men universe, one in the Fantastic universe, maybe Thunderbolts in the main universe, and then the Young Avengers / Champions going with Agatha to find the spirit of Wanda Maximoff and revive her because she's the only person who can take down Doom. Like, I'm still hoping that like that is a storyline in Secret Wars of the Young Avengers going on their children's crusade, reviving Wanda Maximoff because she is the only one with the power to take down Franklin boosted Doom, because Doom steals Franklin the way and makes her Valeria in the MCU, because I doubt they're going to do both the kids before.
I was thinking that. I was but here's another theory for you real quick. Just building off that. What if Doomsday starts with the time skip though? And now you have Valeria, and I'm kind of with you. I think that they're going to use Franklin instead of Valeria, and I think that they're going to use Sentry instead of Molecule Man. I think that's what it's just going to be. That's kind of like the working theory I feel like I've seen on the internet as well. But it could.
I think Franklin's playing the Molecule Man role too.
I can see that.
I didn't even think about that. Oh, you want a new universe? Here you go.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I say the Molecule Man thing was because Franklin can create the universe, but Molecule Man was the one in the comics that connected, and kept the universe established. So I feel like that's what Sentry could do. But I could also seeing just them scrapping that whole thing and just making, because I mean they already said it, Franklin is freaking all powerful God. So
I mean, it's top 3. He's top 3 as far as power in the MCU right now. Like, I mean, he literally brought Sue back to life.
Oh, he's 1-1. He's the 1-1 for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, in the comics, I think the only person that's stronger than him is like the one above all, and I think the Living Tribunal. I think the Living Tribunal as well. For somebody that's so powerful, it's like you have to not show him often. Like, you got to just put him over there doing something. You know what I mean? Like, but it's really interesting.
So powerful. He needs to be distracted at all times so he doesn't accidentally think about destroying a universe and doing it.
I want to ask you guys this because you guys are really on it with the synergy today, yo. TJ, you just gave me a perfect segue. Talking a little bit about Galactus, right? And I mean, I guess a little Silver Surfer, but Galactus more specifically. This whole Earth X storyline that we kind of thought we were getting or whatever with Galactus and Franklin. What do you guys feel like Franklin in that movie, in that interpretation, what do you think he wanted with Galactus? Was it to take over the role for him? Was it to eat him so his hunger will be like, what do you, I've heard a bunch of different things. So I'm curious, what do you feel like he was going to use Franklin for or do for with Franklin?
I mean, he
I
was
think
a
there's-
replacement. I mean,
I think dude wanted to retire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you think he was going to put him in the mantle, like essentially? Like,
yeah, I mean,
That's what I thought.
definitely feel like that. I mean, he was just a little hungry fella. That's it.
I think there was also a lot of versions of this movie where Galactus was Franklin.
I agree.
Like, I think there were drafts of this movie where that was a future Franklin already as Galactus.
I was waiting for that drop. I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna happen, and it didn't. And I was like, okay, I see what they were doing though. Like, I'm what I was telling you when we did the premiere thing. I really thought I was kind of like trying to play coy about it, but I really thought we were gonna also get Norrin Rad. That was one of my letdowns. I'll be honest, is that we didn't
In
see
that flashback scene.
in that flashback
Yeah.
scene. I really thought we were gonna get it, and I also thought we might get both Silver Surfers. I thought we were gonna get both of them and play out the whole Earth X storyline where they both die, like, you know, and take Galactus with them if that's how they were gonna beat Galactus. There were some moments where I was like, okay, this could go, but I really loved. I wanted a little more from Johnny, and after talking with some friends, realizing I didn't realize how much of a pivotal part he played into this story, into this plot, into having his big moment. And so when I thought about that, when I think back to it now, it's like, man, I really love what they did with him. Even though I still wanted more of Silver Surfer, I love their interactions. I love how he was able to, like, I mean, I think AF said it earlier, or maybe I think it might have been UCJ. One of you guys said it, but how smart Johnny was, like how intelligent they showed. So that was really cool for me. But I did need a little bit more.
I think the
Silver Surfer.
Shalabal, I think that dynamic definitely worked in this film instead of Norrin Rad. I mean, it works. There's like a dynamic between like her and Johnny. It only works because it's her. You know, like canonically, like Johnny always falls in love with some type of like alien or some type of female character or creature. So that was very easy for them to connect. And the fact that, going back to what you were saying, Jam, like Johnny was just so willing to like decipher her language to be able to relate with her. That was definitely a very pivotal and key point to saving like the world. And I feel like Shalabal was definitely more of an engager as opposed to like Norrin Rad being more of a like an observer. So I think those are like two like big differences between those two that only would work in this film. But moving forward, I mean, we're gonna definitely get some Norrin Rad moving forward.
I think so. I do feel like it's a possibility, especially because they didn't kill Galactus, right? Like it's and with the whole other universe thing, who knows? Man, we talked about a lot of great things.
I talked to Matt Shackman about that specifically. I asked like why Shalabal instead of Norrin Rad, and you can find that one up on the Agents Fandom YouTube page wherever you get your pods. But he said one, because he wanted that dynamic with Johnny and Shalabal to have that like romantic tension between the two of them, and two, because this is a alternate universe. Fantastic Four are not in our main timeline, so why not use an alternate universe Silver Surfer? And the way he worded it really said to me, like, it's so we can have Norrin in the main universe if we want it. You know, he didn't say that, but that's what to me felt implied. And I think that's why we didn't see him too, because then you would already have to have him cast.
Yes,
and they didn't want to have him cast yet. And so that to me, I think is why that we didn't see him. And then my last point I want to touch on with the Johnny thing and him like being smarter, saving the day. I think the two things that like we obviously get, like he's into it's the surfboard part of your body. Like he's into the alien chick for sure. And that's one of the reasons he's deciphering the language. But I think above all else, he wants to be a valued member of this team. You know, like he kind of knows he's portrayed as the himbo in this movie, and he's not a himbo. He's an astronaut, and he wants above all else Reed to respect him and to see him as a peer and not just as his wife's annoying little brother.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, you said it beautifully. I think overall this was a phenomenal, or should I dare I say it, fantastic movie. Before we get out of here, guys, I gotta let you guys plug yourself. TJ, start with you, run it right back to you. Let them know where to find you, everything that you do, all the peoples and everything.
Hey man, I'm not too hard of a guy to find. As far as Twitch, it's gonna be CJ Edwards TV, Instagram, Mr. Perfect Tweet. that's it. I'm not too much of a social media guy, but I'm definitely trying to build that up more, especially with like the streaming aspect. And that's thanks to Jam right above me. So
Yes, sir. DJ extraordinaire out there too, man. He's starting his DJ stuff, so I need to see some streams with that soon, brother.
yeah.
TJ, let them know where to find you, all your content, and all the things that you guys do.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even really care if you follow me specifically or not, but definitely follow Agents of Fandom at Agents Fandom on TikTok and Twitter, Agents of Fandom everywhere else, wherever you get your podcasts on YouTube, agentsoffandom.com. I have reviews for Superman and Fantastic Four up on the site right now. We're dropping lots of stuff all the time. You can already find my Matt Shackman interview up on our YouTube channel, wherever you get your pods. You can find AF and my co-host of my version of the podcast, Damon and Fat Thor, every Thursday morning for the Comic Corner. Next up, we got Eyes of Wakanda. Then we're going to have Peacemaker Season 2 that we're going to be talking about over there on the podcast. Have some interviews coming up, not myself, but for Agents of Fandom for Alien Earth, the new Alien series that's coming. For Iron Man and his awesome friends, the new kid show, we got some interviews for that coming, and lots of fun stuff coming in the future here. So yeah, give us a follow, check out the content, and Jam, appreciate you for having me on. This has been fun.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you for coming through, man. You came through. AF, let them know where to find you at, brother.
Yeah, I'm at AF Parker 642 on all social media platforms. Like TJ said, every Thursday, Comic Corner on the Agents of Fandom YouTube channel, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Absolute Books, Ultimate Books, All In Books. We covered all indies as well. And then you can follow my YouTube channel as well. That's Geeky AF. I just do breakdowns, comic to live action adaptations, what you need to know, and what's worth reading. Yeah.
I will have all of their stuff in the description, so no worry. Just make sure you check out all of their content. It was a pleasure. And like I said earlier, I think CJ, you just happened to come in when I said it just so happened coincidentally they all three had only 2 letters as the first name that they go by. So the 4 of us just talked Fantastic Four and Superman for a super fantastic episode. I appreciate you guys coming through. I will have them on again. Don't know what, got to plan things like that, but they'll be back for sure. I appreciate you guys, man. Have a good one. Y'all be easy, and thank you for tapping in. Much love.